You picked a good one, but if perchance this one doesn't float your boat, check out another one. We're loaded! And don't forget, we're live every Wednesday at noon on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. And good afternoon. You're listening to Hanging with the Hayters. I'm Kay Hayter, and I'm here with my husband of many years, Mark.
Oh, it's too many. It's not too many years.
And we are so excited today because we have a lady here by the name of Virginia Pliler. She has been our friend for 45 years. She is one of the first people. She and her husband, Freeman, actually.
She's the first people on the planet,
Let's don't leave
Kay.
out Freeman because Freeman's just awesome. They've been like our good buddies for all this time. Anyway, Virginia's agreed to come after much thought. She wasn't so sure. Have you ever been on the radio before, Virginia?
No, Kay. I've never been on the radio before.
So
Virginia, if you don't mess up, you may be asked back.
Yeah, right, okay.
By the way, we are, during this segment, going to talk about friendship and some of the stuff that Virginia's done to me and with us. We're also going to talk about how we met and other things regarding friendship, but and we'll even introduce her better in just a minute with a few more details. But Virginia, right now, the start of the segment, and I know you don't listen to our show, but the start of the segment has to do with, folks, if she did listen to our show, she would have just made a comment right there about
I do listen to the show when I can.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Jim Jackson, this is a shout-out to one of my buddies who keeps forgetting to tune in. Jim, we're here today, and I hope you are too. And, folks, if you're not, go to our archives. We've got stuff set up for things you've missed. But right now what we've got to do is talk about the week in review, Virginia. And anytime you want to chime in, you go right ahead. But
okay.
One thing I wanted to mention is Kay and I went to the movie for the first time in a long time, and it was an action movie that Kay actually wanted to go see. Kay, are you out of your mind? Why did you want to go see this?
Well, apparently I was.
We went to see Magnificent Seven, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we did. And, you know, I like Denzel Washington. I think Chris Pratt's just a cutie patootie.
He's cute as all get out.
So I said, and it's, you know, it's a redo of an old film. And I thought, well, let's go see. We hadn't seen a Western, a new Western in 100 years. So we went. Oh, boy. The acting was great. The production values were great, cinematography, all that kind of stuff. But I thought the script kind of was not very good.
Okay.
A lot of cliches. And they had the female lead dressed up in these low-cut tops. And a
Mrs.
good woman
Boobsier
back in
was her
those
name.
days would not have been. Well, she wouldn't have been exposing her skin to the sun. We're talking, Arizona. The sun is going to...
Kay's leaving out the best thing about the movie, and that is 327, I counted, people died in this. I don't know how these ranchers, these rich ranchers, I guess they're rich, can get that many gun fighters to join them in a cause that is just evil. And yet they do. And, boy, they got shot right and left. And so did the Magnificent Seven.
What about profanity, Kay? Was there a lot of it?
You'd be surprised how much profanity they used in the Old West when you watch these shows.
Right.
So true.
Right.
I think there was.
Right.
I don't remember a great deal because I've gotten past it.
Yeah, since we don't have kids and stuff, we sort of just...
We don't listen
It's got
for
to be
stuff.
pretty bad before I'm going to go,
And that's
ooh.
bad.
Yes, of course, if they use God's name in vain, that's always bad.
And Kay always shuts it off when they say poo-poo. I cannot believe it, but there's some things you just need to ride with. Let me say this, though. It was, I would rate it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was action, but right now, thinking back on it, I didn't get much from it. I would rather rent it.
It's not very memorable,
Beautiful scenery.
The popcorn was good. So
Okay.
That was the good
And
part.
one more thing before we jump into the topic of Virginia Pliler. I read this morning, and I have got to share it, Kay. People will just be hurt if I do not. And it's something out of today's Conroe Courier.
Right.
Today
I have no idea what he's going to say,
Mark, I
folks.
read the Conroe Courier this
Wednesday.
morning. I don't remember getting that excited.
You
so
don't read. You
tell
don't
me.
apparently don't read Dr. Anthony Komaroff.
No, I don't. I missed him this morning.
You don't read Tony. I am so upset. Tony today is the first person I have ever read First Doctor who actually explained hiccups, how they happen and how you might be able to stop it. And if you do not explain to a person what's happening to their body during a hiccup, how the heck do they know anything about, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? And for years we haven't known. I'm still waiting for the doctor to explain the sneeze to us, but so far they haven't. Let me mention this about hiccup, and then we'll move on, and it's so fascinating for me. Ladies and gentlemen, it involves your whole, not your whole digestive system, but your breathing and your eating. You've got ribs that would move like all get out. If it wasn't for muscles around them, they would start going up and down and out. You've got chest muscles, and it's the stuff that you get on a pig that you really enjoy. On a human, not so much, I wouldn't think. And then you've got something in your throat. Okay, you know when you're inhaling, at the moment you stop inhaling, you do not sense it, but there is something in your throat just below your vocal cords that shuts off. And
right.
It
Otherwise,
has to.
when you eat, your food would be going down into your lungs.
There is a transition exactly between inhaling and exhaling, and that thing is when it shuts off. When you get a hiccup, what happens is your chest, all of a sudden, your muscles have a spasm, and what they do is they contract, and when they do this, it brings your chest out like you're inhaling when you're really not inhaling at all, and instantly your throat shuts down for a second, and it's kind of like that, only it's like a hiccup, and it keeps doing it because of spasm. Now, that tells me so much it's scary, but
I get the hiccup sometimes when I laugh. I get them. I don't know.
Here's where else you get them, Kay, overeating. And I have had the overeating hiccups a lot, and what happens then is your stomach gets a little bigger, faster, and it's pushing on your diaphragm. Yeah. Your diaphragm goes down, and then it's we've got a call, ladies and gentlemen, and I bet it's about the hiccups. I would be shocked if it's not. Caller, you are on Hanging with the Hayters here at IrelandStar.com. Please tell us who you are and give us your comment question.
Yeah, this Wing Tong.
Crap. I'm
professional
sorry.
comedy writer. I want to write for Mr. Mark Hayter and Ms. Kay Hayter.
Wing Tong. Wing Tong. I tell you what, Wing Tong. That is just great. Why don't you go on Facebook and message us and give us some contact information, and Kay will
I know, but I like to give you an example, like man who runs in front of a car gets tired. You get it? Tired.
Wing Tong.
Okay.
Man who runs behind car gets exhausted. Yeah.
I think it's
so
funny.
He's so funny. He's so funny.
You are, and I tell you, you're selling me on that one thing. And you know, we could have
man who stands on toilet is high on pot. It's a good stuff. I be professional comedy writer.
Okay.
And hey,
that'll be good. Okay, we may even have you call in periodically with stupid stuff like that. But right now, you're interrupting a very big discussion about hiccups, Wing Tong.
It's medical. I'm so
it's
sorry.
It's medical, and we've got no hiccup jokes. No hiccup jokes. Okay.
Wait, you got to give me time to work on jokes.
Okay, work on those jokes, Wing Tong.
I work on submit to Mark and Kay Hayter show.
Good, do that. Good. You do that, buddy. We are waiting with what you call your proverbial bated breath.
I know Mark needs help.
Yeah. Wing Tong.
I'm the samurai of comedy joke. Yeah.
Exactly. And this is the first call we've ever had from Shanghai, and I am impressed as all
Wing Tong.
Wing Tong. Thank you so much, Wing Tong. And let's move right along. Wing Tong, thank you. Kay, did you jot any of those jokes down? Because those were pretty. Man who stands on toilet is high on pot.
High on pot.
Okay. Ending the hiccups. What?
Okay, right there.
Right here?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry.
I was having trouble seeing Mark, and he was
She
worrying.
was using her periphery.
Using me.
And folks, the reason I'm doing this is because this is the most important part that's going to help you, and it has to do with cures of the hiccups, and which incidentally are so not in this newspaper, but I have a clue to some of them. One of them is one thing that causes them, by the way, is if you drink cold water, something cold or hot. In some cases, cold and then hot. Your throat doesn't know what the Sam Hill is going on, and it will start the hiccups. Most people don't get hiccups forever. You know, you hear the old adage about drinking a cup of water upside down. In other words, you tilt your head and put it on the other side of the glass, and you bend over and drink. What that does is it opens your diaphragm, and it also gives exercise to your throat, and that can end the hiccups. And there's thousands
Only
of
contortionists
others
can
that
do
I
that
will
one.
have to. I'll have to
That's
put that
true.
in an article someday. But that was fascinating.
Aren't you supposed to eat a spoon of sugar?
That's the other thing, and it's the best cure because
okay.
it tastes the best. For this K.
Well,
Wow.
yeah.
Anyway, there are other things you can do short of cutting your throat.
You know, I did read that article, and the thing that was interesting to me is that he said if you have hiccups for over 48 hours, that you really ought to go see somebody about it, that it might be an underlying medical issue. I thought, if I had hiccups for 48 hours.
And if you have them for over 4 days, you're supposed to contact your doctor because that's the same thing when you use the male stimulant, is my understanding.
Stop it.
Okay. We have got to move right along with Virginia Pliler, ladies and gentlemen. She is, I hate to say ex-teacher because she's always teaching, but she taught for Conroe High School or at Conroe High School for many years.
Special ed in English.
In English, yeah. She finished her years off with English, and she has corrected me so many times it's frightening. And occasionally I used to, I don't anymore, send her information that please edit this if you will. But I don't do that much anymore. Virginia, I thought for right after this break, we are going to just discuss friendship, how we got to be friends, and a little bit about yourself. And I got a feeling somewhere down the line we'll probably talk about grandkids. Son of a gun.
I've got some.
I heard that you did. I don't. In fact, one of our stories today, is going to involve grandkids. And I'll share with you about that right after this message, ladies and gentlemen.
Break time, people. Restrooms are in the foyer. Back in a couple of minutes with more Hanging with the Hayters.
Mark and I appreciate you checking out our archives. Don't forget, we're live every Wednesday at noon on Lone Star Community Radio. If you have any questions, please contact us on our Facebook page, Hanging with the Hayters.
And the winning ticket number is 47218. Now, back to Hanging with the Hayters on irlonestar.com. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christopher. That guy is a jewel. Now, Virginia, speaking of Virginia Pliler here, Kay mentioned we've been friends for 45 years. Let's say this, we've known each other for 45 years. We've had a great friendship for maybe 10.
Virginia, that's with you, Mark.
That's a joke.
That's right. Leave me out of that
Virginia,
statement.
what's your memory of us meeting? I've written about this and other things for so long. What's your memory of it?
Well, my mom and dad, worked at the Texas Forest Service.
Roger Parker.
Yeah, Roger Parker.
And Ruby Parker.
Yeah, Roger and Ruby. And they called me one night. Yeah, we both had phones at that time.
Yeah,
and
scary.
And Dad said, I want you to come up here tonight and meet this young forester that works, that they hired at the Forest Service. Mm-hmm. I really like him. I said, okay. And Freeman was at work. He worked shift work.
This is 1972.
God love him.
Yeah.
He worked shift work so much.
God does love
for
Freeman.
many, many years.
Yeah, he missed a lot. But he provided for us. But anyhow, so I waited, and Dad was supposed to call me when y'all got there. And
I remember.
You don't have to go into details here, Virginia. I'm sorry I brought it up.
I waited and waited. So finally he calls, or I call him, and I say, Dad, it's getting late. Is it time to come up there? Come on up here. And I know that y'all had gone the wrong way on 105.
Yeah, we went east instead of west.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I called him and I said, we've crossed some railroad tracks. How far are you from the railroad tracks? And Roger said, how did I call? I didn't have a cell phone.
That's right. I don't think you
must have
called.
That's why
we figured
it took
out.
so long.
That's why it took so long. You didn't call.
But we showed up, and were you there at the time?
I was not there when you were eating.
Was it church night?
It was Wednesday night, I think. There was
think we
Wednesday
went
night.
to
Oh,
church.
I'm
services
sure.
afterward.
No, Mark.
Okay,
Y'all were
that's
playing
stupid.
42.
Okay.
When I walked
Never
in,
mind.
y'all were sitting at the card table playing 42, and you talked about the supper and how great it was and all that. And of course, Dad couldn't wait to tell me that y'all had gone the wrong way and all this.
Oh, yeah.
And Dad thought it was so funny, and we just sat there and talked. Michael was a little
He
boy.
was
from the
4.
Their boy
and
was,
we just sat there and
thought,
talked
3.
for a while, and I thought, I really like this girl. But I really liked Mark, too. Mark was
Well,
a
thank you.
kindred spirit. He was like my brother. Just something about him, immediately we would...
Well, Roger and Ruby were like our Conroe parents.
Yes,
you
they-
know.
they took
and
y'all
It was
in.
Mark's first job. Just graduated from college. We were actually we got married right after he started working at the Forest Service.
My dad always liked to tell
So-
the story that he's the one who picked your wedding date.
Well, he pretty much
He did.
Yeah,
First holiday Mark had after
that's
he
right.
started
And that's
his
what
new
he
job.
pointed out to Mark.
So-
Oh, look, you want to get married here. You got all these days off after Thanksgiving.
Even
Dad
the
thought
Forest
that was-
Service had off for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yes, they did.
Virginia, the way I explain friendship for just about all of you out there, and all people don't have a best friend. Kay, of course, is my very best friend. What is that, BFFF?
Yes.
She's a 3F'er. But it's one of these things with Virginia, the very beginning, when you're sitting down with a group of people and someone says something weird, stupid, or whatever, so many times I can't make eye contact with anybody because nobody's picked up on it. And I'd look over there at Virginia and she'd roll her eyes like, holy cow, what was that? And we just had a mental...
It clicked.
Yes, click, be it TV shows or whatever.
Like
it was,
Seinfeld, someone would just make a comment and we'd look at each other and go, "Oh, Jerry," and nobody else knew what we're talking about. We did. We
did.
We clicked on.
And there are some episodes that we went through in life where there was a mess up or whatever, and someone said something like, "Whoa, that was a big bridge. It means nothing," but to us it meant something.
Right.
It might have meant something. So when something happens like it, we say, "Oh gosh, that's a big bridge."
Yes, right.
And it means nothing to anyone else, but it would send back memories.
Mark has a habit of just, commenting something to a stranger, and it's usually kind of off the wall. And half the time, it's a 50-50 chance. They're either going to think it's funny and make a funny comment back, or they're going to look at him like, "You are a weirdo, get away from me." Yeah. But anyway, it did click. And, I want to talk about Freeman for a minute because Freeman is such a gentleman, so soft-spoken, reminds me of my dad in so many ways. Freeman is not a big talker, but when Freeman says something, really, you should listen. And every once in a while, Freeman will say something that is like the most hilarious thing I have ever heard. And
but he doesn't think it's that funny.
No, and that's the other reason that makes it funny.
Until Freeman got hearing
we love
aids,
Freeman.
we would be sitting there around a table eating somewhere, and you would just look at him, and it was like looking at my mom, and he's perfectly content, but he can't hear a thing about what we're saying. Yeah. And that he was so patient, and it didn't matter. And then he got hearing aids, and now, Virginia has to toe the line.
Say,
Sweet Mary.
Freeman and I've been married for 52 years. Wow. And we were babies.
She married at the age of 12.
Oh,
Back
I
then,
did.
that was common.
I was a child bride. I really was. And he was from, I don't know if you want to hear about this, but how Freeman and I met, but he was from the big city of Willis, and I was from Conroe. And you just didn't mix them. People didn't like that. People in Willis kind of thought Conroeites
it was a Romeo and Juliet thing.
Yeah, and he was a big football and basketball star.
Big football player. He. I'll tell you how much a football player he was. I didn't even realize it, and I know we need to go on, but I didn't even realize this until we went to the Willis High School reunion 2 years ago, and we went there and. We're sitting there, and this guy comes up to Freeman, and he says, "Are you Freeman Pliler?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, I'm so glad to meet you again. He said, "Did you know that when you graduated in 1963, when school started, I went into the coach, and I said, I want number 81. Or was it 80? whatever. Freeman will tell me later. I think it was 80. I want number 80. That's what Freeman Pliler wore. He was my idol. And I sat there and I went,
wow.
What?
Wow.
What?
Okay.
I didn't know that.
That
he was a very good player. And another guy said the same thing. He said, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you again. You were my idol." So he was a very good football player. But yes, he was a gentleman, and he still is a gentleman.
He sure is.
No one ever in the history of mankind said, "Wow, I want number 11," because Hayter was number 11. But let me say this, Virginia. One comment I get moving right along is from a lot of people, I would say as many as 6, at church and other places, they say, "Oh, I just love it when you wrote about your friends when you all go on your birthday trips and all. It's so wonderful." And they evolved over years
anymore.
To the point of non-existence. And we may talk about that later. But what are some of the episodes that you might remember?
Go ahead.
What was our one thing we agreed to do during a birthday vacation as a gift to one another?
Well, one thing we all agreed to do is for you and I not to get into a fight.
Well, we blew the
but
heck
we
out
blew
of
that
arguing.
the first day.
Yeah, that didn't work.
I was going to say a while ago when you were talking about when we met and we've been friends all this time, and I was going to say, someone asked me the other day, y'all been friends so long? And I said, yeah. And said, have y'all ever had a big fight? No, not with Kay. I said, I've been friends with her for 40-something years.
Sure.
And I will say this, and for 40-something years, I've probably argued with Mark every single day. And they just thought that was so funny. I said, hey, brothers and sisters,
that's
we
right.
fight. He drives me crazy.
Siblings.
When you, it's tough to be around someone that's too much like you. And that was pretty much the case with Virginia, meaning that if there's a clone of Mark, I would hate the daylights out of him probably.
Yeah. Okay, the trips, Mark. I really enjoyed one that you're not going to say you enjoyed, but it's the one where we went down to, and I can't remember the name of the little town, Elm.
New Ulm.
New
Ulm.
Ulm.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was close. Yeah. And it was my birthday trip. See, we all got to pick where we wanted to
The
go.
birthday person, yes. Yeah.
It's your birthday. You pick anywhere in the state of Texas. And so I don't know. I had read something in Leon Hale about these little cities, little towns. I wanted to go there. And we started off, and my birthday's in November. It's coming up. And it was so cold and so windy. And we would stop to get something to drink, and it would just grab the door of the car and just jerk it back. And but it was a great trip. We ate at a little cafe. That was one of the things. We got to choose. The birthday person got to choose where we ate and where we went. And we had a gift. It was $15. We could go anywhere, stop at a candle shop, and you could get what you wanted.
You can spend $15.
You know, Virginia, y'all never came to grips with the true plan for that I had. Nobody did, except, of course, Mark. My stipulation was this. Here's $15 for something you would not buy if it was your money. Something unusual on a trip that you might remember it. And Virginia goes, oh, I got some scented candles somewhere, and I just wanted to slap her. Freeman goes, and he gets some fishing lures, and the question is, Freeman, would you ever buy fishing lures for yourself? Well, yeah. See, you don't understand the concept
Do
of
you
this
remember
gift.
anything you bought with your $15?
Yes, I do,
What did
Virginia.
you buy?
Virginia and Kay, I bought the ironing board hook for wet jeans you put on it, just because I never would have.
How exciting.
The
Now
violin fiddle handle,
do
just
know.
the handle.
I'm sorry. You do understand now, listeners, why we don't have any more birthday trips?
Yeah,
do y'all
they're pretty much-
understand why?
We've killed them, Virginia.
Plus, I've got everything.
Right, Mark just
already.
I think
No.
Mark is a kind of no, I won't say it. Okay, it's his
You
show.
know what? No, one thing about that trip I also love, we did get to go to Leon Hill's hometown of, was it New Ulm? It was
Cat
one of those
Springs.
places out there. Cat Springs, beautiful. Virginia, you're right, the wind was really steep, but the foliage, sometimes called foliage, was beautiful
I
orange,
remember that
and it
trip.
was all over in New Ulm. That's where it was on the ground. They had this little, it was a beautiful
It
time.
was beautiful,
The
and we
leaves
came
were
back
blowing.
through
The sun was shining.
Round
Beautiful.
Top and that other little town. See, when Leon used to write, he would always walk to the store and take his dog with him.
Yeah.
You know what's so
We saw a mule, but we weren't sure.
flabbergasting, and we'll get into
that
this
one.
after our 12:30 break. Let me say this about it. What's weird is back then, Virginia, we were both teaching, and yet we went on more trips, realizing when we come back on Sunday, we got to go to school the next day unless it's Columbus Day. And still we went on trips. Right now we're retired, don't have a care in the world, and we don't do it. And I think it's because, I know why it's caused. One of them is because we're too old. Yeah. I don't travel well anymore, Virginia.
Mark, you never did travel well.
I never did travel well.
You really didn't.
Yeah,
that's
the other thing
topic.
deals with the fact that
we love you, Mark. We
I know.
You do not travel well. You don't.
Yeah,
you build it up too much, and when it's not as good as you thought it was going to be, you mope for a while. Like, I wanted to so. And he's been doing it for 40-something years, so I gave up trying to change him. Kay, it's your job now.
Jill, I don't know why I called you Jill. Virginia,
because I remember.
We're going to have you back on the show, and we'll just do a whole segment on hill country vacation bloopers.
Yes.
But we're going to come back and talk more about Virginia and the reasons for no trips back in a minute.
Break time, people. Restrooms are in the foyer. Back in a couple of minutes with more Hanging with the Hayters.
Lone Star Community Radio is FM. That's right. Set your radio dials and your button presets to Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1, coming in June of 2016. To celebrate this edition and the addition of video versions of our talk and music shows on YouTube, cable TV, and Our City TV, we are offering special sponsorships rates, which include free audio spots that are played throughout our broadcast. Interested? Check out our sponsor rates for shows just like the one you're listening to online at irlonestar.com/sponsor or call the station at 936-647-5747. Reaching the people of Montgomery County with Montgomery County's community radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
You're listening to Hanging with the Hayters with Mark and Kay on irlonestar.com. Punk.
Thank you for listening to Hanging with the Hayters on this beautiful Wednesday with the first little hint of coolness for the fall. We're here with our dear friend Virginia Pliler. We've kind of been talking about the Conroe and our friendship over the years.
You know, I would recommend, Kay, folks, listeners, if you don't have a best friend, go glean one, go find one somewhere. And to do that, well, you got to be nice, which really didn't stop this friendship much. But it is so hopeful. You know, Virginia, there was a time when our families called every day to check up on one another, see what's going, and that has gone, and I blame a lot of it on grandkids. We're not going to get into it much. Like I say, I do have a story about it at the end. But whenever grandkids come and then the great-grandkid, life is over pretty much for Freeman and Virginia as a result of that with regard to their focus. Their focus is on great-grandchild Shane, and I can't compete with it.
No, Mark, you can't. And that's just the well, I remember a quick story about grandkids is when Ryan, our grandson, who'll be 21.
Oh, my word. Just
October.
Get out of here.
Can you believe that? Yeah. He was playing soccer, and it was down, they lived in Richmond at the time. And I know he'll correct me on that later. But anyway, we would go down to his soccer games. And one day, Mark said to me, "Are you idiots?" And I said, he said, "You drive all the way to Richmond, Texas. You stand there on the sidelines for a 30-minute soccer game. Then you get back in the car and you drive all the way home." And I said, "So?" And he said, "That is ridiculous." And I said, You don't get it. He didn't get it because he doesn't have grandkids. We did the same thing when Ryan was playing football, only the difference was he played in Canyon Lake, which was a 4-hour drive.
Right.
You just don't understand.
You know, the thing is, both of us are parenting, our parents, not us. I've never been a parent before. It's scary. But if you were in a symphony orchestra or something in Richmond and I were playing football or something in Huntsville, are practicing, our parents would not have.
No, but that's a different generation. That's just they
exactly.
didn't.
Yeah.
Virginia, it is special being a grandparent.
Yeah.
And if anybody who knows me knows they're number one. Now we'll go on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. Number one. Virginia, one of the few moments in my life where I think I actually contributed to something, and I'd like to get a little bit of encouragement at bringing this up. And it has to do with Virginia when, years ago she was the housewife and all, but she was so talented and everything. And I asked her one time, what do you really want to do? And she said, I'd like to be a teacher. And
actually, what I said was, I always wanted to be a teacher. And your comeback was?
Well, why don't you?
You're not dead, are you?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly
And I said, what? And you said, you're not dead, are you? I said, I can't be a teacher now. I'm 34 years old. He said, oh, that's so ridiculous. He didn't mince words. And he said, that is so stupid. He said, of course you can go be a teacher. I said, I'm 34. And Mark Hayter, if it wasn't for him, I would have never been a teacher, because he, I might get emotional here, but he took me and he showed me the book that showed, how you can develop a game plan, if you will, for your schooling. And he showed me an old receipt he had when he was in college. Mark was a late bloomer, too. He didn't start at Sam Houston until he was later. So anyway, he just walked me through the whole thing. He kept encouraging me. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do this. I'm going to show you how to make a plan. When the day I had to go get registered, and we registered in line at that time.
Gosh, it was terrible.
Right. No internet back in them days.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, first come, first serve. That's right. And anyway, if it wasn't for Mark Hayter, I would not have become a teacher.
I think one thing that didn't help much is when I said, Virginia, you don't cry at registration.
Yeah, I know, and I was.
It was terrible. That's why she was able to get some of the courses she wouldn't have gotten.
Scary. That's kind of scary. And what's so wonderful is Virginia was the first of her siblings to go to college.
Yeah.
And she was always an honor student all the way through. Her family went from scared that Virginia wasn't going to be able to do college-level work to just being so, so proud.
There are so many young men and women around the county and elsewhere today that remember Virginia Pliler. Not that she's in the past. She still gets comments from somebody, but she left an impact and is still leaving an impact from her many years of teaching.
Well, when I make this quick about teaching, but the very first day that I became a teacher, I knew, that's it. This is it. This is what I've always wanted. I love it. I told Mark one time, I said, oh, I have hall duty. I love it. He said, oh, you are out of your mind.
Really?
And I said, but I love my grade book. I love my blackboard. I loved everything. I taught for 21 years, and the beginning of my 21st year, I still loved my grade book. I still loved I did, Mark. I can't deny it.
That's the year they went to the computer.
Yeah, and that's why I loved my grade book. Really? I said, I'm out of here. I want my grade book. But anyway, it was.
There are so many stories, and I hate to skip about, but one of, I think, Virginia, something I would ask anyone who was here possibly, but I happen to know your answer. Can you name something in your life that happened to you that kind of changed outlook or in any way changed your life more than others?
Oh, well, of course, anybody who knows me knows that 3 years ago I had a near-death experience. I almost died. It was just a weird, very strange happening. What happened is I had an ear infection. I went to the doctor. The doctor, it wasn't a doctor, it was a
physician's assistant.
Thank you. She said, yeah, you got an ear infection. Here, take this medicine and go home. And as I walked out of the doctor's office, she turned to me and she made this statement. Oh, you'll be all right. You're not going to die today. She actually said that. If you don't believe me, ask Freeman.
Cow.
Freeman never lies. And
no, he doesn't.
So we got home. I went straight in the bedroom. I told Freeman, I said, I put my gown on and I'm going to take a nap. And I did. I did text my sister, Jeanette. She'd love to hear her name said. And our preacher. I don't know why I texted him. I just said, I have an ear infection. I'm sick. So went to sleep. And next thing I knew, 8 days later, I woke up in Herman Hospital in Houston. And I said, what? And now this is Freeman's story. It's not mine. Freeman said he went in there to check on me and that I told him my brain was hurting. I didn't say those words.
This was before Herman. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so he said, what? And he got me a washcloth put on my head. Then he went back in the living room and I laid back down. He said later he went in there and I was sitting on the side of the bed. I'm going to hurry this up.
Go ahead.
And I was just making a grunting sound. And he thought I had a stroke. He called 911. They came. The ambulance came. I know nothing of any of this. They took me in to Conroe Hospital. I love Conroe Regional Hospital because the doctor who treated me, and my son, Michael, would know his name. I do not, of course. And he came out. They did a spinal tap on me, and they came out and said, she has meningitis. We have to get her to the medical center in Houston. So it was so good of him to do that because if he had kept me in Conroe, I wouldn't be here. So they rushed me to Houston. Michael and Freeman went down there, and sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble here with the microphone. And anyway, I was still in the coma, and they came out and they told Freeman that because my, I think it was the white blood cells, one of them.
Yeah, white
was,
blood count.
Yeah, was over the moon.
Sky high.
Yeah.
Her brain is swelling.
Yeah.
Part of it came out her ear from what I heard. And I'm not joking about that part.
And they told Freeman to start making funeral arrangements. Now, Michael said, we're not believing that. We're not going to take that. And they said, well, she's very, very ill. And Michael said, we know she's ill. That's why we have her down here. Those of you who know my son know he doesn't take stuff like that well. So anyway, I was in the coma. They kept blasting me with antibiotics, and 8 days later, I woke up. And they couldn't
and they
believe it.
had said, if she does survive, she could be deaf.
Yeah.
She could have lost her vision. She could have
Lost her
incredible
mind.
brain damage.
Yeah, lost.
So we didn't know.
Yeah.
We just didn't
Maybe
know.
lost a limb. I mean, a leg or an arm or something. But
Yeah.
I woke up and I didn't know
she
anything was different. Except Freeman pointed to the blackboard over there and pointed the date, and it was March 28th, and I laid down March 21st. And anyway, I don't really have any bad side effects. I have a few. I have I can't remember short-term memory. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but I can tell you what happened on the trip with Mark and Kay, 25 years ago.
That whole experience for us, 8 days out, and the last thing we heard is make plans. We called the elders at our church and put you on the prayer list, and they all got together and prayed, and I know people at your church did. And,
yes.
After you hear something like that and you're expecting, even if she comes to, she's not going to be right.
Right.
And then, son of a gun, she comes to, and she's still got her mind.
She knew who Mark was.
Well, here's the deal.
When I woke up from my coma, I know more, but when I woke up, everybody was asking me, did you hear us? Did you? And I didn't. I did not hear anything for 8 days. I remember hearing Kay Hayter say, "Kay, this is Virginia," and then I remember seeing my grandson, and he was dressed like Darth Vader. And the reason that is so funny is because they all had to put on the masks and all of the stuff, the gowns, not because I was contagious, because they didn't want them to bring in germs.
That's right.
But the very first day, I was laying there, and I had woke up and spoke to Freeman and Michael and all that, and then they left, and Mark and Kay came, and Mark They were so glad, and tears and all that, glad I was alive and I was awake and all that. And Mark walked right up to my bed. Now, I had tubes coming from every orifice in my body. And Mark walks up to me, and he's got a little bitty spiral notebook, and he has a pen. And the first thing he said was, "Now, Virginia, did you see an angel or a light?" And Kay Hayter said, "Mark, stop it." He said, "I just want to know, did you see a light? Did you see an angel?
Did you walk toward the light?"
Did you walk? And remember what I told you, Mark?
No, I don't, Virginia. You gave me the worst look the minute I came into that hospital. I thought I was dead.
I said, "I'd like to tell you I did, Mark, but I didn't."
Yeah, she
I
did.
said, "Maybe I'll remember." A couple of days after I woke up, no, not a couple of days, a couple of hours, they were all rushing in there to see if I was alive, and they were talking. They asked me the same question. Those of you who've ever been in that situation know they're testing you. And this one doctor came in with about 15 doctors with him, and he walked over to my bed, and he said, "Do you know where you are?" And his arm was kind of on the bed, and I said, "Yes, I'm in the hospital." And he said, "Do you know which one?" I said, "Yes, Herman, the medical center." "Do you know what date it is?" And finally, I had just about had it, and I grabbed his arm, and I said, "Look, I'm as good as I ever was, but that wasn't that great then." And he said, "We're out of here." He said, "She's fine." Okay. And he turned around, and he said, "You are a miracle, lady." And
That's
right.
I
do believe in my heart that I was and am a miracle.
We believe in miracles. Yes, we sure do.
I believe in prayer. I believe that God answered the prayers. I don't understand it, but I do.
Well, he's not
believe.
Done with you, Virginia.
No.
He's got stuff
That's what
for
I'm
you
guessing.
to do.
I don't know. And I know it helped Freeman a whole lot. Freeman had so many women wanting him anyway. That,
I already told him, I said,
problem.
"Oh, honey, I'd die. Those people will be at the back door with bundt cakes."
Virginia, we, and you may not realize this, but we end every show with normally a joke and a story.
Yeah.
And this time we're not going to end with a joke because the one I got is...
We've already had great jokes
We
this
have.
show.
It's a blonde joke, and it's funny, but I don't think I'll share it with anyone. One reason is I can't remember it, but it was good. The other thing is one reason I'm writing for the Courier and the Villager
That's
and all
right.
is because of Virginia Pliler. We went on a tubing
Yes.
expedition
Yes,
and
we did.
had a great time, and we came back, and anyway, Virginia said, "Mark, why don't we used to write letters and all to family, and they were cute and all, and that was before the internet." And Virginia said, "Why don't you write something for the newspaper and give it to them?" And I said, "You're crazy." I mean, not crazy, but
No,
Virginia,
he
they're
said
not going to
crazy.
care about that. And he said, "No, do it." I wrote this article about tubing and
Yes.
what you're supposed to do. I sent it to the Courier when Barbara Fredrickson was there. Son of a gun! They printed it in their magazine section they had. The front page, the cover was
Had a
this.
picture of Mark on a tube.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. And that was the beginning, of Mark Hayter's career as a writer.
If she hadn't said that, I don't know. It wouldn't have happened. The way
And there
I
have
see
been
it.
no
I hadn't thought of it
secrets.
ever
Everything's
since.
been published since
With
then.
that in mind, I would like to read one of the articles I wrote way back when. This was from 1997, and it's about Virginia's grandkids that I've talked about. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, the article... an article is coming out in Sunday's Courier, and ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening in the Woodlands Villager will have an article coming out, and it's about me making a doctor mad. Right now, this is called, "I Really Believe the Kid Could Climb a Closed Door." Emily likes bugs. She doesn't like big spiders. That's what she told Kay in church last Sunday. You'll be pleased to know that Virginia's granddaughter has finally learned to whisper. We were not sure she would ever master the technique. A few months ago, the whole congregation would have known of Emily's love of bugs. Last Sunday, just a few people in the surrounding pews were made aware. Whispering is still a strain on the kid. Ryan didn't stay in the auditorium long enough to tell us much. About one verse into the second hymn, the 18-month-old Dynamo was hauled out to the nursery by his mom. Ryan is a handful, 2 handfuls. Mm-hmm. It's weird about kids. When Ryan was born, he was the nicest baby in the world, just glad to be a citizen of the planet. Had a grin for everyone, and he'd go to anybody. Ernest Borgnine could have held out his hands, and that kid would have climbed into his lap. Wasn't afraid of a soul. I actually thought the kid was partial to me. Truth was, Ryan liked the person he was with at the moment. Good kid. There's definitely something about the terrible twos. As Ryan approached 2, he began morphing. Now he's a dynamo. It had been a couple of months since I last saw him, and when he came to the back door, I held out my hands and said, "Ryan!" He took one look at me and went screaming to Virginia. Didn't know I had changed that much. The kid has become possessed, cannot sit still, runs a mile a minute, and with each step his arms are in the air and he's moving his hands like he's revving a Harley. Take your eyes off of him for a second and he's at the top of a tree. I really believe the kid could climb a closed door. Yesterday his grandpa was playing with him out in the yard. Freeman walked away for just a moment to get something and heard Ryan screaming. The kid was under the van. He had kicked his ball under there and went in after it. Once he got his arms around the ball, he couldn't get out. Kept trying to stand up. Kept bumping his head. If there'd been a place to get, the kid is going to get there, and fast. Yes, Ryan was born good and went bad. Emily was just the opposite. She was born swinging. She kicked, screamed, and tossed stuff. She hadn't asked to be born and wanted everyone aware of that. The child would go on. Child would go to no one outside the immediate family. Virginia would say, "Emily, go give Uncle Mark a goodbye kiss." And she would come closer to hanging brake pads on a Buick. Wouldn't have a thing to do with me. Now it's different. Emily likes me. She's a year past her 2s, and she's human now. The wife and I, Kay, are called Mark and Cake. Go see Mark and Cake, she'll say. For some reason, Kate always comes out Cake. Ryan doesn't say Mark and Cake. He says dog. When he thinks of me, he thinks of a dog. I don't have a dog. The neighbors have a couple of them. When Ryan comes over, the minute his feet hit the ground, he's running after the neighbors' dogs. I wish Cochise would allow himself to get caught just once. Then maybe Ryan would get over the fascination of the chase. But no, Cochise heads out down the road with Ryan, hot on his trail, and me a couple of steps behind. I'm yelling, "Ryan, stop! Wait up!" Might as well be saying, "Mare, slop, brown cup." There's just something about kids and animals. Ryan and Emily have been to the zoo a dozen times. They'd go right now if you ask them. Love animals. Emily particularly likes lizards. She carried a dead one around for a couple of days. I thought it odd, but Virginia said it was a pet. "It's dead, Virginia. The lizard is dead," I told her. "Well, it's easier for her to catch," she said. Emily always wants to come over to see my rabbits. I don't have rabbits. The neighbors on the other side of us have a bunch of them in cages. Emily thinks they're mine. Always wants to go see rabbits. Wants to know why they have to be caged. I wonder it myself. Oh, and she still wants to see the bird. I don't own a bird, never have, but about 2 years ago I kept Big Al's parakeet for a week while he was out of town. A very small Emily was over one day when he had the birds. She was fascinated. Walks into the back, wants to see the bird. "Don't have any birds, Emily. Never had any birds. Drop it, would you?" Kids are weird. "What movie have you seen more than any other?" Mine is King Kong, the original. I've seen it about a dozen times. Emily's seen 101 Dalmatians, the original, about 200 times. I'm not joking. She'll watch it a couple of times a day. I'm not sure I've ever seen 101 Dalmatians. I have seen Cinderella, though. Emily loaned it to Cake and me a couple of weeks ago. We watched it on a Friday night. Ryan doesn't care about Dalmatians or mice. He's into climbing. In fact, he's probably on top of the cabinet this very moment.
And Ryan will be 21 in October, and Emily is now 23, and she still loves animals.
She does.
And Mark, I have to tell you, Ryan still does run around a lot, but
he doesn't do the motorcycle thing.
No,
it's
but now Shane does. Shane does.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's Emily's
everything.
son, Shane,
Yes.
your great-grandson.
he's 5.
What's Shane
He's a
big
sweetie.
into?
Trucks.
Trucks. He's crazy about trucks.
He just got a truck this morning that our neighbor's son built for him out of wood, and it's fantastic. It's a huge dump truck.
What a nice thing.
What a nice thing. What a nice
You know,
thing.
if you went into Virginia's house, unless it's changed since the last time I was there, toys over in the back side of the living room, just everywhere.
There's
What
a toy
do you get
corner.
a kid like Shane? I
And
know.
it's got about 500 cars, trucks.
Wasn't there something before trucks that he was crazy about? I cannot remember.
You got to have trucks, though, Mark.
He knows the names of every
Oh,
car.
yes, he's very
and-
good about knowing. In fact, he told me this weekend with eyes rolling, 5 years old, he told me, "Mama, that is not a Mustang. That is not a Mustang. That's a Camaro. This is a Mustang.
Wow.
Well, excuse me, but I didn't say that. I wouldn't want to hurt his feelings.
Virginia, we're about to get bell bit. This sounds too formal between us, but thank you so much, Virginia, for being on
I enjoyed it, Mark.
Hanging
I
with
hope
the
I
Hayters.
didn't say something I shouldn't have.
Oh, you did, but it's really no big problem.
You
She
did not.
Well,
She did not.
Kay Hayter's brother Tracy gave me some wonderful advice.
He did. What was it?
Oh, he said, Virginia, just remember this. Don't say the S word and don't drop the F bomb. And I did.
She did not.
I did
In
not.
fact,
He
if-
will be so proud of me.
If
I did
Virginia did, she would, I don't know, she'd develop the hiccups or something. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Kay and I are so pleased you've all been here today to listen to our best friend
And
next week.
we want everybody to have a wonderful
Yes.
week, and we hope you'll tune in again next Wednesday.
Well, I
Hopefully
enjoyed
another
it,
front will
Mark
come.
and Kay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Bye-bye, folks.
Thanks for checking out this production on Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's radio station. For more information on this show and other shows on Lone Star, check us out online at irlonestar.com. If you're interested in sponsoring a program on Lone Star Community Radio and reaching the local audience of Montgomery County on FM, internet, and TV media, please call 936-647-5747 or contact us online at irlonestar.com. This recording is a Lone Star Community Radio production, produced by the show host and Dick Schisler of Lone Star Community Radio. Interested in volunteering as a music DJ or starting your own talk show? Contact Dick Schisler at dick@irlonestar.com or by phone at 936-647-5747.